Funny story about you in Long Beach, the Queen Mary. Where yeah.
Shit weekend.
I could tell because there was someone behind me that you must have not really liked, because it really looked like you wanted to fight me. And a lot of people were asking, yo, what did you do to Josh? It was a hilarious story way back in the day.
I got one better than that.
You want to tell us?
I'm sorry. Sure. I'm sorry if I did that to you. I had a woman come up to me at COTA and tell me, I'm a huge fan of yours. Last year when you were going out to start the race, you flipped me off in the stands. And I go, no, I didn't. And she's like, oh, no, you did. And I'm like, yeah, that didn't happen.
Right.
She goes, no, you looked right at me, you flipped me off. And I said, no, I'm even having a hard time with this, but maybe I knew somebody behind you in the stands or somebody in your direction who I flipped off, but I'm sorry, I didn't do that. And she's like, I have a picture of it. I'll show you, you flipped me off. And I'm like, yeah, it didn't happen.
Perhaps it was this same lady behind me. Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, there was a supermoto race in Long Beach at the Queen Mary, 2006, way back in the day. And for whatever reason, whoever...
I think it's just I have resting bitch face because I was hurt pretty badly.
This explains things. Yeah. Pain face.
That was a bad one. It was a bad weekend.
So, speaking of like, back when you used to ride, obviously you've made the transition from... It's all good. You've made the transition from riding to obviously, managing and being in that kind of role. How has that change been for you, especially seeing, how well Cam's doing and kind of taking a dominant role in the series for you?
The part with Cam isn't a problem. Cam was doing that when he was my teammate. I'm a big fan of Cam. I'm a big believer in Cam, so I'm proud of him. I love seeing what he's doing. I'm a big fan of him, big fan of JD. I think Garrett's doing a good job. He's got a lot to learn, and I want to help him in any way I can. But it is still very, very difficult to just not be out there and be a part of it. There's some fun parts that now that I'm not a competitor, the boys can open up to me a little more and just chat with me about things where they couldn't help but view me as a bit of a competitor before. So that's fun. But at the same time, like I never withheld anything from those guys because I was racing against them. I figure I could tell them whatever they wanted to know. What they did with it was on them, and I was going to try to beat them regardless. So the transitional role has been probably one of the more difficult things I've ever dealt with in my life. I still struggle with it every time I go out there and watch bikes go around the racetrack. It's hard for me to spend all this time trying to figure out how to tell people how to do something that I think I could do better than they could do. Right. and just that I want to at least try to, even if I can't do it better than him, I want to learn how to, and I want to try to. I still love this. There's not one of those boys out there or girls that love it more than I do, and I miss it very, very badly.
You see that in other sports when top-level competitors, champions move into these roles, and that last 2 or 3%, that kind of ish, if you will, is hard to articulate because it wasn't maybe something you were consciously doing as much as sort of an innate feel that you developed over time. And did you find expressing that to be difficult to other riders, helping them get that last 1 or 2% to really get them to the wins or get them that championship hunt?
Well, I think that it's not hard for me. Actually, I feel like I can talk about those kinds of things much more easily because those are the things that were current that I was working on and very, very focused on, honestly, when I was doing it myself not very long ago. And I have a more difficult time talking about the basics more than anything, other than saying, hey, refer to the basics when things go bad. You got to go back and start with the basics. But even then, I'm still talking about fairly advanced things in riding motorcycles. So, for those guys, that's where my experience, I feel like, can pay off the most, is having experienced a lot of the things that they're going through when they're struggling with it, pointing out that, hey, listen, I went through this. It wasn't the end of the road. This is how I came out of it, or shit, I don't know how I came out of it, but I did. And I was better for it, and give them some kind of, okay, I'm not alone. This isn't the first time someone's been through this. At the end of the day, though, what I really give is just that. It's just hopefully a pat on the back, some information, an idea of what they can do to do something, and it comes down to them. And if they're a winner or if they're not, if they're going to take that information and run with it, or go, yeah, he told me this, and that was kind of the end of it. So it really is always going to fall on that guy. I have a very small role. I can use my experience and point you in a direction. What you do with it is yours.
And one last question: they were talking about selling record tickets, this race, and you had a real long, storied career that kind of bridged the gap between multiple eras. There was, somewhat of a down era. We're on the upward swing. You're seeing more riders here, more foreign interest. You've even talked about guys like Bradley Smith are looking maybe to get in. Do you see the series on kind of an upward swing? And are you proud of the work that you guys have done, especially Yamaha, to kind of keep it alive and really push it forward and into that new direction? I mean, they're breaking 11-year-old lap records this weekend. And finally, really, I see a lot of buzz and a lot more interest and a lot of growing. Is it something that you guys are riding a wave on, and you're feeling that it's a strong?
On the foreign interest, I think it's funny because I think that question was brought to them. Oh, would you want to do this? And they go, oh, well, yeah. Oh, hey, can I get paid to do that? Yeah, I'd like to do that. And that's exactly what it is. It's brought to them. Any of these racers, I think, want to continue racing, and if they can figure out a way to get paid doing it, and a lot of them think in America that can happen, especially after you see what happened with Tony, right? Stepped into the magic spot at the right time, and everything worked out the way it was supposed to. And Tony's now at this leading example of what can happen in America, but I don't know that it's as realistic as people think. I think that our level of racers here in America is just fine. There's nothing wrong. The top riders are the top riders. Top riders in our series, top riders in BSB, top riders in the World Championship. Top riders are top riders, and if you're given the right opportunity and the right people behind you, you're going to succeed at whatever level it is that you do. So I think MotoAmerica has done a good job. They inherited a damaged property, and they're trying to give people what they want, but it's not as clear as what it's always easy to sit back as an armchair quarterback about what it is that people need and want. And I think as far as the racing series, they're doing a good job. What's difficult is if you set it as a pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid's broken. Club racing's broken. We have guys doing track days that don't want to go racing. And how do we spark competition amongst people and get them to not just go to the track day where it's easy to go ride for $250 and ride till your arms fall off all day, but actually go and sign up for a weekend race. One problem is they don't get a lot of laps on the track at a race weekend, and you see guys throwing a new tire at every 6 or 4 lap sprint that they race on the weekend. So they kind of helped break it themselves. Yeah. Racing used to be a bit more inexpensive, and I had to get into it in an inexpensive way. I miss endurance racing. I wish there was more amateur endurance racing, because that's the only way that you can go about getting a lot of, building your craft and getting a lot of laps and bang for your buck. When you get a couple of guys together, you run 2 sets of tires in a 4-hour race, and you just gut it out, and you go out there and you get 2 hours of track time each in an endurance race. I thought that was really good, and but all those things have kind of died off, and until we figure out how to bring those things back, it's going to be hard, because we have nobody to draw from to build this racing up at pro level. So if amateur's broken, how are you going to build up pro?
Farm system having issues is certainly a problem for filling out the grid and rising tide raising all boats.
But the rest of it is what are we selling? I think sometimes in America, motorcycles are a little bit of a damaged property again. Just you got a lot of guys that are riding on the street in shorts, t-shirts, half helmets, doing wheelies through traffic, and it's always going to make it difficult whenever you say, hey, I'm a road racer, but this is a legit sport, come check this out. We're very safety conscious, and it's exciting. It's a fantastic sport, and all I know is maybe you got to sell the stories of the people. We got some great stories. We got some fantastic riders who can tell some good stories, and if somebody can relate to that story and go, man, I want to see how that guy progresses. I think that's what a lot of sports like NASCAR did. You saw guys buying Jeff Gordon stickers and Dale Earnhardt stickers, not so much Chevy and Ford. They got behind people that they could relate to, and we have some fantastic stories. The racing is great. Got to get people to be interested. When you get new people in the stands, it just looks like motorcycle riders going by, unless you point out some of the cool things of what's going on during the race. So
context.
Yeah, I enjoy taking new people out. We had a couple of journalists this weekend. It's their first motorcycle race. He went to a MotoGP race, but he was kind of shuffled all over. So I took him out during the Superbike race, during the 600 race and 300 race, and we sat on the side, and I said, all right, this is this guy's riding style, this is this guy's riding style, so we're going to be looking for this, and this during the race. This is how I think it's going to play out. JD made me look like a hero in the 600. I said, JD's going to attack the first lap. He's going to get to the front. He's going to drive the pace. He's going to put the pressure on them to come up with something. And that's what he does. He didn't qualify that great, but you watch what he does come race time. It's exactly what he did. And so the guy got interested in it, and I have a feeling that tomorrow he's going to go sit out there and he's going to watch to see if JD does the same approach to it tomorrow and if it works again, right? Give him something to look for.
Creating fans one person at a time.
Try to, right?
Yeah. Well, we're all about stories here at BrotoGP. That's the number one thing I talk about: getting the stories, the context, learning who the riders are, for the people they are. Motorcycle racing is a human on top of an engine. You see him, you see their movement, you see their body language. Maybe you see them flip. Maybe you see them flip off ladies in the stands. Apparently, but again, this has been Josh Hayes, and I really appreciate you sitting here and talking with us for a while, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.